What's up, everybody? Welcome to Ringside Geeks, your home for everything professional, unprofessional. I guess that's amateur, but we don't really talk about amateur because that's the Olympics, and who cares about that? Wrestling. That's the last word of that puzzle. My name is Dave, and I'm very congested. Enjoy the sound of my voice. But joining me for our first episode of 2018 is Tom.
Konnichiwa!
Wow.
It just felt right.
Also joining us from Tokyo, but not really, it's John.
What's going on, guys?
And, of course, the First Lady of Wrestling, Monroe.
That's me, I guess.
She guesses. Okay, so not a lot happened this week. It's going to be a short show. Try to figure out how to fill time. No, lots happened. We got quite a bit of news from the wrestling world to begin with, and results and such to talk about from New Japan. Had two huge shows in the past couple days, which is why which is kind of the reason why we waited till Friday to record, so that we can also talk about New Year Dash as well. So let's get the WWE part of it out of the way. But first, the roundtable question of the week. As I try to not sound entirely full of phlegm and snot. Ugh. All right.
Sticky shoes, Dave. Sticky
Right.
shoes.
Oh, that's so gross.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, guys. I won't blow my nose on air. I promise. Will CM Punk, not should, but will he ever return to wrestling? The reason I bring it up is because people are speculating now of, should he, I don't know, for whatever reason, he's coming up in conversations again, and it's all over, the dirt sheets and rumor websites about, is he going to come back ever? I don't know why it's coming up now again, but it is. Whether it's WWE, Ring of Honor, New Japan, Indies, whatever, will he ever return to wrestling? I'll start with somebody who actually cares about CM Punk, Tom.
I will say yes, because I think he had an itch to scratch with the UFC, and I believe he did it. Win, lose, or draw, he needed to do it, and he knows that it probably was not the best thing for him at the time, because he kind of got his ass kicked, I guess. But, I mean, he knows he's a draw, and he knows that they would come to him with an open hand and bring him right back in. I think eventually, I think there's still raw bad feelings, but I think at the end of the day, I think there's a handshake that'll be brought back. Can't say win, but I believe they will.
All right, John?
I think it comes down to what capacity he would come back in. I don't know if I see him ever wrestling again. However, in the future, I could see him being involved in the wrestling business somehow. But yeah, I'm not sure anymore that I actually ever see him having a wrestling match again. So I don't want to commit to that.
All right. Well, we know you don't like him, but Monroe, what do you think?
No.
No, just straight up no. Okay. If he were to come back, where do you think he's most likely to land? John?
If he were to come back right now, I would say he would be most likely to land in WWE. I don't think he's ever going to go anywhere but WWE.
Is that a money thing?
Yeah. I really, honestly, yeah, it's a money thing. It really is. And I don't know if he's ever. That's why I don't know if he's ever going to go back, because that bridge just feels so burnt to me. And that's why I say I don't know if he's ever going to go back as a wrestler. I think maybe down the line, like when he's older and they want to, he maybe has a change of heart about his reputation or something. Maybe he'll come back to WWE for something. But yeah,
okay,
I don't know.
Well, let me ask this before I ask everybody else that same question of where he lands. Is he Hall of Fame worthy?
Well, I mean, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say he has to be Hall of Fame worthy because he changed the business.
Not really.
Well,
Objective, I guess. Yes. Well, he is the longest reigning champion, modern era.
Yeah.
For now.
That's something. Right. Of course, for now. They could change that just like they did with the women's title or the Divas Championship, whatever. Like immediately after AJ left, they changed that. But yeah, all right, Tom, where do you think the most likely?
Yeah, I think most likely, I believe, is WWE because he knows it is about the money. I guess at the end of the day, but this is going to sound short-sighted to me because I know I'm dealing with a lot of New Japan fans right here. But he knows where his exposure level could be the highest, and right now that it still is WWE. New Japan's gaining a lot of ground. Ring of Honor is gaining a lot of ground, but they're still not WWE.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be a big factor for him.
Hey, man.
But I will go back and I'll agree with John. It would have to be the right situation because he was really hurt at that time of what happened to him with the longest reign, and then he was faded to the background.
Yeah, dude, I'm a big New Japan fan and I enjoy it more than WWE, but I'm not ignorant to the fact of how big WWE is. I mean, we're talking a global promotion versus a promotion that's now trying to become global. So
right, and for me,
it's
not a disrespect to say that. It is just who really still does control the market, and that is Vince and the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Monroe, where do you think he would land should he decide to come back?
Actually, I think he will go to Ring of Honor, and the reason why I say that is, I mean, more than likely he'll end up in WWE, but the reason why I think Ring of Honor is because there may be people who will convince him to go there first.
Mm-hmm.
Like friends or people that he used to hang out with or work with or whatever, be like, hey, we need, this is where you got, I don't want to say your start because he was in other companies, but,
right.
This is where you became known in the beginning or whatever, and we need your help because Ring of Honor needs some help, and then whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I could see them convincing him to go to Ring of Honor, so that's the one I'm going to choose.
That's a good one.
WWE makes the most sense, I guess, but
well,
I could see Ring of Honor too.
Yeah, part of it is too. I think the Bucks get asked every so often about Punk joining the Bullet Club, and they've always said he has an open invitation to join the Bullet Club, and I think I've seen that on Twitter in the last couple of months. So I think. That's another thing. Like, he does have friends out there, so...
Yeah, honestly, I really do believe, and I don't want to carry this too long.
No.
We have a lot to talk about, but I do believe it has a lot to do with timing. If he comes back sooner, I think it's more likely that he goes elsewhere, because right now, if he were to join the Bullet Club, I think you're seeing with the way social media is and everything, I think that would make a bigger impact than him going to WWE right now, to be completely honest. I don't know where he would fit in WWE, but to go and join the Bullet Club, that would be very, very newsworthy. But I mean, you can't see into the future, so I don't know where New Japan, I don't know where Ring of Honor is going to be in like 10 years. So that's why I say WWE, because I really don't see CM Punk coming back for a good long while.
Yeah, I think the only way he comes back to WWE is if it's a WrestleMania moment and he has to be the headline of that WrestleMania. I think is the only way he comes back to WWE. Granted, maybe that's not his only match, but that has to be the end result of his return. Whether it's like a 1-year deal or whatever, but I don't see it happening. I don't think he's coming back to wrestling at all in any kind of wrestling capacity. He could show up as like I don't know, the year he goes into the Hall of Fame, maybe he shows up for like an event or something.
Exactly.
Like the 30th anniversary of Raw or whatever it is.
That was my thought as well.
Well, one thing real quick before we move on. I think part of it, too, depending where he goes, and if Ring of Honor is in the equation, I really think what happens with Daniel Bryan could have a lot of factor into that, too. If WWE does not clear him and he's not allowed to wrestle, we all speculate that Daniel Bryan will go maybe to Ring of Honor. They're still good friends. Maybe Punk will see that as a slight and say, you know what, to hell with WWE. Let's go over here and let's blow this roof off. I don't know. That's just me.
I could see that happening too. That's why I say it's a timing thing.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on. Let's breeze through the WWE side of things real quick because it's just a normal week. But I think some interesting things happened. On Raw, the only thing I think worth talking about is Finn Balor teaming up with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson and just how happy they were to do it. Like, straight up beaming in the walkout to the ring, them hyping it up in the promo start as part of it, and then leaving, and then coming out entrance-wise, they were jacked. That's probably the happiest they've been since they got the WWE, maybe, on the main show, as far as Finn's concerned. He won the Universal Championship and then got hurt, so, and then fell into a mid-card obscurity after that. But
comfort among friends.
Sure, and there's no way of knowing at this point if this is going to continue, if it was a one-off, but social media and the way WWE is presenting it, it may actually be a thing. And I think, why not for all three, since they're doing absolutely nothing with all three of these guys, and with the loss of Dean Ambrose in the Shield, you have an opening for a faction, on Monday Night Raw, at least. Without the Shield, I guess, if you needed it. I mean, they were coming back longer than we thought they would be. And with Dean out for 9 months or something like that.
9 months.
So it'll be a 9-month wait for him to return and then turn on the Shield, which I think is directly going to happen. But, I don't know. I was jacked. I was psyched about it. Everyone knows I'm a Finn Balor mark, and the club, and seeing those guys together. They actually won a match, so it was great. I don't know. I enjoyed it. Anybody else watch it and have a little fun?
I went back and saw it just because I had seen it on the thread, and I was like, oh, wow, maybe it's finally happening. Maybe if it's a one-time deal, I don't care, but I agree with you. They looked very happy doing it, and you're right. They have nothing for them to do. It was great to see Gallows and Anderson on a winning side of a match, which was great. I'd love to see it go forward. We've talked about this for a long time.
Yeah, I watched Raw this week. I think that it's great that they're having the Bullet Club, the Balor Club together.
Right.
And I'm interested to see where it goes. However, I wish they would have done this when they had the Shield together. I wish they would have done this when they have had numerous opportunities in the past to have legitimate competition for them, because I don't know, other than the New Day, but they're on SmackDown, what other tandem can go? Maybe the Miz Taraj. It seems like there were more opportune matchups that I would have really liked to see, and now you don't have those matchups, which kind of sucks.
Well, here's my fantasy booking for the next month or so. You book these guys against Miz and the Miz Taraj because Miz is returning. And then you have a nice little program, a titleist program, which is fine, but at least you can establish who these three guys are together against this heel faction.
Okay.
Maybe. That's just a starting block, I guess.
Okay. No, I don't. That sounds great to me. I'm interested to see where it goes. I want it to go somewhere.
Yeah, right.
Do not remember, because we all thought coming in how strong Gallows and Anderson should have looked, and they were made out to look pretty damn weak. So I want this to go somewhere. I want this to elevate Finn Balor. And I want this whole over debate and all this crap to stop. Let's put this guy into the upper echelon of talent in WWE where he belongs.
Monroe, anything to add?
No, that everything was said that can be said.
Okay.
But I do agree with with the crowd. I hope this goes somewhere. I hope this is a thing. It may be a little too late, but they still seem to be popular and over. People are excited. It should be a thing based on that alone. And these are three very talented guys. And Finn has a partner now for this Mixed Match Challenge that he can also add to this group to add some fire. I'm just saying.
Oh, we'll talk about it.
So,
if you want to get creative, that would be awesome.
I've been
all about that.
A stable has to have a woman in it. I've said it for a long time, and that's why I like Sanity so much. And yeah, I agree. She would look good in black and white. I'm just saying. I was waiting for she would look good in anything, but all right. Anyway,
well, I think that you don't need to say that.
Yeah, it goes without saying.
Oh, okay. The other highlight I think from Raw was the Reigns and Joe match. I thought that was a really good match. For the IC title, and yeah, that's all that needs to be said. It was a good match.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I gotta say, I don't want to throw it too much negativity out there, but I watched Raw again for the first time in a while, and it's still, for me, it just doesn't feel like the type of programming that I'm into just yet. But I mean, there are signs of a change on the horizon, and I hope that they go with that and don't revert backwards, because it feels like there's some progress to be made very soon. So I hope that's the direction.
All right. Fair enough. That sounds good to me. Let's see. Enzo was pulled from the show because of some kind of illness. He was in the hospital, I guess, that whole day. So he's also pulled from the Mixed Match Challenge, which begins...
No.
I don't know.
This is interesting to me.
Which is begins January 16th, and we'll talk about it now. They announced who's going to call the matches. It's going to be Cole, Corey Graves, and Beth Phoenix calling
Wow.
all the action. They announced a few of the pairings, and they said on the Raw side that Samoa Joe, Elias, or Jason Jordan will do like a fan vote to decide which one of those takes a spot, and then one of the members of the New Day will also have a fan vote on the SmackDown side. But the already announced members, I guess, our pairings are the... I don't know what you want to call it. The Robe team, Charlotte Flair and Bobby Roode.
The prom queen and king.
Right.
That's what it is.
Alexa Bliss and Braun Strowman, which did not make Nia Jax happy, I guess. Jimmy Uso and Naomi, so husband and wife. Not to be outdone, Rusev and Lana, also teaming together. And then Nia Jax and Apollo Crews, who is taking Enzo's spot on the show, so you imagine they would have teamed together had he not gotten ill. And then, of course, what we were just talking about, Finn Balor and one Sasha Banks. I think I got them all that were announced so far. So with those pairings announced already, what do you guys think so far? We'll start with Monroe.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, some of them are kind of random, like the Braun Bliss thing.
Yeah.
I didn't expect Sasha and Finn.
No, I would have expected Bayley and Finn the way they kind of coexisted on the NXT roster.
Yeah, I did too. But I mean, I guess it's fine. I just want to see what this is going to be all about. That's my main thing. I mean, they can pair whoever they want to pair, but I'm just curious to see what this is really going to be all about. I know it's only for charity or whatever, but. And that's fine, don't get me wrong, but I'm just curious to see how they would do it.
Yeah. Yet to be assigned are Alicia Fox, Asuka, Bayley, Goldust, The Miz, and then in those three of the fan vote, Jason Jordan, Elias, and Samoa Joe. And then on SmackDown, Becky Lynch, Carmella, Natalya, Sami Zayn, Shinsuke, and a member of the New Day. What do you think, John, about this whole show and the pairings so far? Any favorites going in?
I mean, the team of Balor and Sasha is interesting. I guess for me, the thing I'm going to be most interested in is whether or not it's just more of your regularly scheduled WWE programming, or if this is going to have a different feel to it, and they really let them wrestle, and it's a different, like maybe they're trying something here. I don't know. I'm hoping that this is something unique and it just doesn't blend in with everything else. That's all.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, Tom?
I think the fact that it's for charity, I think they're going to go with a lot of it being maybe for fun, but yet I think it'll still be taken seriously. So the actual married couples make sense to me because it is for charity. Let's the one time they would ever be able to actually team together. It makes sense. As for a team that I think could win, Rude and Charlotte, to me, that's pretty solid, and it's a flair for the glorious.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
So their team's
Very
gonna be
nice.
called. Their team's gonna be called the Glorious Flair.
No, flair for the glorious.
That's not a tag team name.
Yes, it is.
That's like a catchphrase.
That's a tag team name.
All right.
Like
whatever.
the Mighty Don't Kneel.
Oh, Jesus.
There you go. See? Thank you. High five you, Monroe. High five.
That was a...
Wow.
Although I actually
that sounded more like a whip.
The Balor. I like the Balor and Sasha one too. See what I did there?
Yeah, and the boss joining the Balor Club.
Now I want him to come out as a demon, and I want her to come out as a lady demon.
Oh wow,
I don't.
She would be so game for that.
I loved. Did you watch the video promo of the announcement when he tried to do the little Sasha hip turn?
When he had the boss glasses on.
Yeah, right. He's such a
thing in the world.
He's such a nerd. It's
Nerd.
so awesome. All right, so that starts in about a week from Tuesday, I think.
And that is that a Facebook thing?
Facebook
exclusive?
Watch, which I think you just look at their WWE Facebook page, and I think it'll be on there. SmackDown, AJ Styles ends up losing to Sami Zayn due to some shenanigans from his bosses on the show, setting up AJ Styles versus KO and Sami together. Also, the booking of having Daniel Bryan kind of helping KO and Sami, I think, is indicating that the exact opposite is going to happen. He's going to screw them over at some point. I think it's just too obvious at this point that he's actually helping them beat AJ and get wins. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
You may be right. It's a little swerve that we wouldn't see coming.
While, I'm kind of over the whole authority figures getting involved, which, to be honest, Raw has had less of lately, which is nice. I mean, Kurt Angle's been on the show, but it's not been about Kurt. Where SmackDown is kind of the opposite, at least in the main event scene. Well, not kind of, it is the opposite. It's an interesting storyline with this Bryan and Shane thing because of the unknown factor of where it's leading with Bryan. I think this has to lead to him having a match, or it's wasted. Again.
I agree with you. We talked about this before. The build-up it's already been started. It would be a huge letdown if it doesn't happen.
Yeah. And I think with him, if it's with Shane, I think it's kind of an okay thing to protect Daniel in his first match. Mm-hmm. But he's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it anymore. But Xavier Woods beats Aiden English to advance in the United States Championship tournament. So he'll face Jinder Mahal in the second round.
And then he gets pancakes from Big E's tights in his face. Oh, that was so disgusting.
Gross.
I'm jealous.
Just sweaty, disgusting pancakes.
That was disgusting. But what was the funniest in the background, you could see Big E's trying to feed him to Corey, and he's like, "Oh, get out of here. Just get off me."
Oh, so gross.
It was nasty.
And the last match left for the first round is Bobby Roode Bobby Roode will meet either Zack Ryder or Mojo Rawley, which is the last match of the first round. Mm-hmm. Now, there was some, and then this is it. Actually, no, I have a little bit of news, and then we'll go all straight up New Japan after this, for the last 45 minutes of the show. NXT TakeOver tapings NXT tapings happened, which spoils some of the TakeOver Philly card. Do we want to talk about that, or do we want to avoid spoilers?
I don't mind it because I'm very excited for this card.
What do you guys think?
Talk about it.
All right, so spoiler alert. I don't know, Monroe. Do you want us to not talk about it? I know you're a spoiler person. We don't have to talk.
You know I'm a spoiler person. Who tells you that?
You don't like spoilers. You kill people.
Jeez.
You've been known to murder.
No, it's fine. We can talk about it.
All right, so spoiler alert for the next, we'll say, 5 minutes. If you don't want to know what happens on the next couple episodes of NXT, maybe don't listen, starting right meow. Okay. So we know the NXT Championship match is Andrade Cien Almas with Zelina Vega versus Johnny Gargano. And that's most likely going to be your main event because there will be some shenanigans. We're just all assuming that's going to happen. I think it's a good assumption.
Well, they solidified that during the tapings because apparently Gargano and Velveteen Dream had a fantastic match, which will air. And I'm very excited to watch that.
Yeah. And they're doing these packages now, and they did one with Johnny Gargano where he's like the ultimate babyface in this package. And they're just setting him up to fail. It's like, not to fail, but to be betrayed, I should say. To have to have his dreams just dashed by one dastardly unknown assailant. We'll just leave it at that.
Who could that be?
Yeah.
Nobody. It's not going to happen.
Oh, a doubter. A NXT Tag Team Championship cage match has been announced. The Undisputed Era will take on the Authors of Pain in a cage. The Authors of Pain are getting a reputation for gimmick matches, it seems. This one I don't like, but it's happening. Ember Moon versus Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship. So they're jumping right into that train. But here's the one of the other spoilers: an Extreme Rules match. It's in Philly. I get it. ECW land. Aleister Black and Adam Cole, baby.
Baby.
So the defeat of Aleister Black, his one loss so far was to Johnny Gargano, but it was because of the Undisputed Era and mainly Adam Cole. So I love that the storyline is continuing. And they're not letting that go. So I like that. I like that matchup, and I think Cole gets beat. And beat in bloody fashion. I don't know. I think it's going to be a good match. So far, that's a good card, aside from Ember Moon's opponent. She's a good wrestler, maybe. But I don't have high hopes for her in this match. Maybe that's just...
I thought I read something that there's possibly a Roderick Storm Lars Sullivan match. Come out of it too.
Potentially. That is... that's already happened in the run-up to find out who's going to take on Andrade Cien Almas.
Mm-hmm.
And Strong lost, so I don't know. We'll see. That doesn't bode well for Strong, to be honest.
I thought it was Lars versus Killian Dane.
That's what I thought, too. They're building up those two guys.
Yeah.
And that match wouldn't look good for Strong. He would lose that match with the way they're booking Lars.
Oh, they are. Yeah, they're booking him incredibly strong.
So, all right. Spoilers over. Now we switch over to that little company in Japan.
Yeah.
Sir.
Who had a smallish sized event Thursday
Some
morning.
high school gym, right?
Right. In a little barn in Japan. No, New Japan Wrestle Kingdom 12 happened Thursday or early Thursday morning, or Thursday evening if you are in Japan, and some crazy stuff happened. Damn it, I forgot. Okay, hang on. Three other things to get on. Backstage at SmackDown Live, Tessa Blanchard and Ricochet were there, along with some NXT talent.
Yeah,
but
there.
they were in Florida, so.
I mean, like, they're signing there. That's what
I'm glad. I love Tessa Blanchard, and whatever, wherever she goes, it's gonna be awesome. They announced too that the women's Royal Rumble match will have the same rules as the men's, and it will include 30, not 20, women.
Yeah.
So over the top rope, none of this over the middle rope garbage. And hopefully we will get all entrances and none of this 4 women just start in the ring. Or 2, or whatever it is. And real quick, I'm going to run these names very quickly. Royal Rumble entrance so far: Elias, Randy, Nakamura, Cena, Balor, and Corbin. And the women, deep breath: Naomi, Asuka, Ruby Riott, Natalya, Sasha, Bayley, Paige, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Carmella, Tamina, Lana, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan have all been announced so far for the Royal Rumble women's match. All right, back to New Japan.
Wait. Before we go to New Japan, I know I just
okay.
I want to pose a question to everybody.
Yeah.
Do we think Baron Corbin has a chance of winning the Royal Rumble?
I don't.
I don't.
I do.
Okay. I just wanted to pick everybody's brain real quick and get a yes or no.
Aside from my cold, I was having such a good night, Monroe, and you went.
Jeez.
Before we move on, I was very excited to read this. Candice LeRae is actually in the signing process, which we all thought it was going to happen, but yes, that's fantastic. I love that.
I did forget to include that in the news that I saw this morning.
Not a huge Candice LeRae fan. I mean, I like her, but I don't love her.
Johnny Gargano is.
Yeah, he is.
I love her personally, though. She should be my best friend.
We'll get that. We'll
I don't know what the problem is.
We'll start working on that.
Yeah, we need to.
On Twitter, probably. All right. New Japan Wrestle Kingdom 12.
Woo.
Oh, swallow. There we go.
Gross.
The New Japan Rumble kicked off the show, which I didn't see any of it. But Masahito Hara won.
Sorry.
And his story, John?
I I'm not too familiar with him, to be completely. I had no
I
idea who he was when he came out. So,
he's
but
40.
I know that he battled cancer and won, and he had strong ties with Takayama, who was a legend over in Japan, who was paralyzed this year in the ring, and he had some words to say after the match or after the Rumble. And it was more of a feel-good moment. The New Japan Rumble is never like a big, great match, or it never really leads to anything. It's just a place for some New Japan legends to kind of make an impact if they're not on the main card. So I'm glad that they used it to kind of give these guys a rub.
Yeah.
Is this a young guy, or has he been?
No,
just
he's 45 years
an older
old.
guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's 45. He actually won the. I just clicked on his name. He won the. Where'd it go? Best of the Super Juniors in 03.
Okay.
Wow.
I mean, when you look at him, you couldn't tell that he was 40-something.
Oh yeah.
He looks like I would say straight out of high school. He looks really young.
He looked very young, that's for sure.
He won the G1 Junior 6-man tag team tournament in 01 with Minoru Tanaka and Masayuki Naruse.
I see.
But and he's beaten Rocky Romero in a mixed martial arts match.
Wow.
In 04 in Brazil. It only took him 20 seconds. Wow.
Wow. Romero sucks.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
Just like John said, that match didn't. It's just a rumble, a way to get most people on the card, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very fun. We watched it, and it was very fun to watch.
I heard
it was entertaining for sure.
Cheeseburger had a good showing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It was fun.
Yeah.
I love like Royal Rumbles, so I always have. So I'm
Sure.
It wasn't terrible.
Yeah,
it
whatever.
didn't have like star power that I led.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a 5-star match to be entertaining.
Right. Yeah.
That's
exactly.
true. Yeah,
But it sounds like a great way to get the crowd going in a curtain. So
yeah, well, that was actually their dark match. That's what they do to kind of get everything prepped and stuff, test out all the video board and
lighting
sound
and
equipment.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
The show kicked off with the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match. The Young Bucks taking on Roppongi 3K, Sho and Yo. A decent psychological match for the Young Bucks.
Oh yeah. I was very impressed with both of the teams and the selling of the back. I think it was
my favorite
Matt
part
and Yo.
Yeah. My favorite part was the next day when they were the 6-man.
The continuity there was awesome.
They made Nick take most of the match because both Kenny and Matt were beat up, and like they actually jumped off the apron when Nick went to tag him in. Like, no, this is all you. You're the one that's in the best shape right now. I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, they kept selling the fact that their backs were still messed up pretty good, especially when I think, like you said, Matt and Yo were in the ring together. Like they couldn't lift each other up. They kept falling back with back pain, which made it more.
And honestly, after that match, dude, I was wondering how much of that was
real.
Like because
legit?
Man, those guys took some bumps on their backs that looked really bad.
Yeah, at one point, Yo in that title match took a really nasty fall, where it looked like he landed hard on his back, and they were looking at him for a long time. But it appeared to be just good selling because then he would take a apron, like I don't know what power bomb or something, like immediate.
He took a lot of bumps after that.
Yeah, I'm right on that same part of the back, and apparently he's okay.
Yeah. I think this match for me was the one I didn't really care for. Mm-hmm. I do appreciate the selling. I do appreciate the psychology. That, in my opinion, is something rare in a Young Bucks match.
Yeah.
But the match was good. Don't get me wrong. It just wasn't my favorite of the night.
Sure.
I think it's at the bottom of the list for me.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I enjoyed the match. It wasn't my least favorite match. There was one where I went to bed because of it.
You're just a question, Monroe. You enjoyed the KES Evil Sonata match more than this one?
I just thought about that, and I'm thinking, you know what?
That's the one I went to bed during.
Yeah, it was probably penultimate then. It was So
that's fair. But the Young Bucks are now 7-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. So
yeah, interesting call. I mean, it makes a lot of sense going forward because Sho and Yo, they eventually a team that's as dominant as they have been, winning the junior tag tournament and all of that, they got to face some kind of adversity.
Mm-hmm.
And the Young Bucks are really the only other team right now. So I hope that, there are some other teams that they start building because you can't rely on this matchup all year.
Yeah. Or maybe just get rid of the junior.
And I know yeah, for real. And that's so long overdue. I know that I said that I was hoping that they would retain. I guess I was a little disappointed, but after I thought about it, this does make more sense. So I get it. And again, with them going to America soon, I mean, having the titles on the Young Bucks and having them at that show, it's important. So
you think they're going to keep it?
Good decision.
Think they'll keep it through March?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Next up was the Gauntlet Never Openweight 6-man Tag Team Championship match, which did not end up making sense to me because of what happened the next night. But I guess that's the nature of this title. Chaos would end up defeating Bullet Club to become new champions, and that's Beretta, Ishii, and Toru Yano, who Yano had 2 pinfalls in this thing. Defeating Bullet Club, Suzuki-gun, Elgin and War Machine, and Taguchi Japan to become the new Never Openweight 6-man championship. It was a fun match. It wasn't bad.
It had its moments.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just to jump ahead a little bit, on the New Year's Dash, Chaos would then lose it again back to Bullet Club.
That's been the story of these 6-man titles. They just...
Yeah. Flip-flop.
It's almost like they throw these titles on there whenever they want to spark the crowd with a title change. I don't know how many times that's going to work, though. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah. Monroe, your thoughts on that match?
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I was thinking that Chaos would win, and they did. But I really hate that they lost it the next night. That kind of sucks. But it wasn't the best match ever, but it was really fun. I enjoyed it. Like John said, it had its moments for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially when you want to talk about moments. Let's talk about Ishii giving freaking Bad Luck Fale a suplex brainbuster, whatever it was. That was so awesome.
Yeah, Fale is not a small guy.
No.
Yeah, no, he's not. That's for sure. So yeah, it had its moments. Again, the 6-man tag titles are just directionless. And again, I was telling you guys this while we were watching it. I like the idea of a 6-man title. And they have so many 6-man teams, you would think that they could develop a decent program, but they just failed to do so. So It is what it is.
It's a lot of people to deal with, I think, is the hard part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up on the card was Cody with Brandy Rhodes looking incredible. It was an understatement. Taking on Kota Ibushi. Just kind of, I think, a thrown together match just to get these guys on the card, I think. It wasn't a big build-up or anything like that. But a highly entertaining match, I thought. Surprising in the case of Cody really taking on Kota Ibushi, who's, I don't think, arguably superior in the ring to Cody.
No.
But I think, John, you mentioned during the show that it was Cody's best match that you've seen.
In my opinion, his best singles match of his career. I
had just read about it, but how many crossroads were hit in that match?
The only one you need to be concerned about is the one off the apron onto the floor.
Dude, the apron. I saw the pictures on the apron. I saw that one.
That looked awesome, but awful.
Yeah.
At the same time, right?
As they say, that's the hardest part of the ring.
Right. They do say it. They didn't say it, though.
They
didn't say it.
It wasn't a part of the ring. He fell on the floor.
Yeah, they jumped from that part.
I mean, yeah, dude. This match was... I think it was about 85% Kota Ibushi. Now, look, Cody did do a lot of character work that, the heel and face dynamic, I think without him in that match...
Even Brandy got
probably
some heel
would have suffered
action.
a bit.
Yeah.
And so I think that the story, it really did add a good bit of storytelling to it. But as far as the actual match itself in the wrestling, Kota Ibushi really helped put that match over. I don't know if you could find another guy who would agree to a crossroads off of the apron to the floor other than Kota Ibushi.
Right.
Because he's crazy.
He is crazy.
But yeah, props to Cody. You got to give a guy credit where it's due, and I'm glad that Kota won. This was probably one of the biggest surprises for me on the entire card.
Credit to Brandy taking a bump too.
Yeah, absolutely, a couple bumps actually,
and those heels,
in the heels,
yes.
yeah, in the heels, and selling like the heel part of it, faking to be hurt, and then just laying on the ground with Cody laughing maniacally was a fun moment. Just to prove that the babyface Ibushi wouldn't hit her, and checked on her to make sure she was okay, and that gave Cody enough time to kind of get back on the offensive. A cool moment for her. But what did you think of the match, Monroe?
Dark horse right here, man. I picked this one as to be the surprise good match of the night, and it was. I like this match
Which
way
is
more
shocking
than I thought I would.
For as much as you don't like Cody, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Cody in the ring. I mean, I like him as a person, I guess, but in the ring, I'm not a huge fan. But man, I thought this match was awesome, and I give credit to both. But we both know, I mean, we all know, I'm sorry, that it was mainly Kota Ibushi here.
Yeah.
But no, I really, really, really like this match, and that ring apron spot was insane.
Yeah.
But when you have Kota Ibushi in a match, expect insane things.
Right. It's good to see that.
Yeah, I really like that match.
Yeah, it's good to see a former WWE guy getting a good moment, and Kota being a one-time WWE. No, I'm just kidding. Totally just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, well, one thing I've said on the podcast where we previewed was I felt like Cody really needed a match where he had a performance like this. And so I think great for him. However, now I think it's even more important that he's had this performance, that he follows it up with an even better performance. So I'm curious to see where he goes next. If it's a match with Kenny Omega, that's going to be a very important match for him.
I was going to say he needed what he got from Wrestle Kingdom to set up whatever they're going to do going forward with what happened at the New Year Dash. Yeah. Especially to legitimize him to be any kind of threat to Kenny. And we'll get into that when we finish this card. The snoozer, I think, of this card, and there's a lot of energy in this card. But LIJ, Evil, and Sonata taking on the KES, Davey Boy Smith and Lance Archer, the spitting, what do you call him, the camel? Because he spits all the time.
I don't know what that's all about.
Disgusting, and he was
so
in full form coming out. It took him longer to get to the ring for this match to be any good. But for the IWGP Tag Team Championship, Evil and Sonata would win, becoming the new Tag Team Champions.
I had a feeling this one would be dry. I don't think I was terribly wrong about that. However, at the end, I will say that they picked it up and saved it from being a complete train wreck. And the title change was good. I think it was necessary. So it wasn't terrible, but it was easily the weakest thing on the card.
It was
you guys said dry multiple times talking about this match.
And it was, man.
It was
like a piece of stale bread, is what I was trying to say.
Right. It was a 14-minute match in which KES was like in control of it for 12 minutes of it.
Yeah.
Let me put a piece of stale bread in the toaster, and there it is.
I don't know what I mean by dry.
It was dry because Lance Archer got rid of all the water.
Exactly.
By spitting.
Yeah, spitting it all everywhere over everyone.
It was like, as you watch the match, you was waiting. You know how matches may start out slow because they're doing something technical or they're doing something, building, telling a story, whatever.
Yeah. It's
like you were waiting for it to take off, and it never did. And it was just so... Because, Evil is one of my favorites in New Japan, and he is extremely talented. And Sonata, don't get me wrong, I mean, he may have that, I don't care about anything, just I'm here type attitude, but he is very athletic. And it's like, they don't have terrible matches. They usually don't, but I seriously have to blame all this on KES. They do nothing for me. They're so boring, and they're just plain average. I don't know. I could not get into this match no matter how hard I tried, even though it's Evil, someone I really, really liked. I did not care for this at all.
It feels to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, like, all of that group, what group are KES part of?
Suzuki Gun.
Suzuki Gun
are very aggressive, very violent, brawler. Right. Davey Boy Smith should fit that, but kind of is hesitant to be as aggressive as the rest of that group.
I agree completely.
He doesn't seem to quite fit with, like, Lance Archer fits because he's just crazy spitter guy. But
spitter guy.
Davey Boy Smith seems hesitant to be a part of it. I don't know what it is.
He's shy or something.
Yeah. Because you would see it later in the night too, or maybe it's the next day. But yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Anything else you want to say about this match?
No.
All right. So congrats to Lij. Minoru Suzuki and Hiroki Goto, hair versus hair, for the Never Openweight Championship match. I'll let you guys talk about this one.
All right. I had said that this was a match to look out for because I thought it could be great. This match blew me away. This was easily one of the... I'd say this was the third best match on the entire card. I can't say enough about Minoru Suzuki. He's been one of my favorites now since I started following New Japan. It was he and Shibata. And his performance here in this match, and I mean, you got to give credit to Goto for what he was able to pull. His selling was incredible, but Minoru Suzuki, for being 49 years old, the athletic performance, the mannerisms, the facial expressions, everything that this guy does is like just one of the best villains I've ever seen in professional wrestling. I think he's the definition of a good villain.
Absolutely.
And Goto is actually a great resilient babyface, and I think that's what made that dynamic is what made it so great. And I love the brawling style. I love the strong style influences in this match. It's exactly what I wanted. I'm glad that the factions didn't get too involved. I knew that they would kind of get involved, but I'm glad that it wasn't, it didn't really influence the outcome of the match. And I can't say enough about the finish where after the match, Suzuki was being kind of escorted to the back by his faction and said, "No, I'm not." He turned back around, came in the ring, and shaved his own head himself. It was just so badass, and it defines Minoru Suzuki. I can't say enough about that guy.
One thing I love about Minoru Suzuki, honestly, I think he is a blueprint when it comes to being a villain or being a heel. He's 49 years old. I don't think that's maybe old in wrestling years, but whatever. But he has so much or so many old school heel things about him that I think are lost in a lot of heels in pro wrestling today.
I don't mean to interrupt, but because you're talking about that faction of his game, something that was brought up in the Jericho podcast this week with Don Callis is that he says Suzuki has the best facial expressions in wrestling.
Yes, absolutely. That's one of those
undeniable,
things.
dude. Yeah.
Well, put the guy over. When Ken Shamrock was at his best in MMA, he got Ken Shamrock to tap out twice.
Yep. He's legitimately a badass.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I believe Don Callis when he says he's legitimately afraid of this man. Like, I don't think it's a
presence about Minoru Suzuki that you can't duplicate it. I don't know if there's ever going to be another guy like Minoru Suzuki. His matches are definitely an acquired taste. They're not very there's not gonna be a lot of high flying stuff, but man, his brawling and his technical ability, it's really fun to watch, and he's one of my favorites for sure.
All right, sorry, Monroe. Please continue.
Yeah.
Well, no, I was just basically saying what you guys said, that he is, like I said, he is a blueprint for being a heel and being a legit villain. I mean, his facial expressions are everything. They tell you who he is right there in his face. No words needed. His mannerisms, the way he wrestles, everything about him, the way he carries himself, it screams old school villain, and I love it. He's really one of the last in professional wrestling, honestly. But he's awesome, and I really, really like that match. I didn't have any doubts because I remember when they wrestled the last time. I really liked that too. So I didn't have any doubts that this match would be just as good, if not better. And I think it may be probably the third best on this card also.
I'm not a huge fan of either of these guys. I like Minoru Suzuki, and having just being in his presence at that Ring of Honor show was frightening. Very intimidating. I've said before, my first, I guess, quasi-professional interview as I don't know what you want to call it, as a podcast host, was for Atomic Geekdom, cheap plug there. Head over to TomKingdom.com to check out John's coverage of Wrestle Kingdom 12 before it happened. But
there you go.
My first in-person interview was with Michael Rooker. You don't have to be a geek to know who he is. He's been in everything in the 80s and 90s as far as a villain role is concerned. Go watch Cliffhanger or, 1,000 Rules. He plays Mallrats. Like, he's just a jerk, as a character. But he's from Alabama. He's a Southern guy. Reminds me a lot of my boss at work, who is kind of a mentor of mine, just a very nice Southern man from Alabama area. This is all, keying up on Monroe's neighborhood. Area.
Yeah, but your boss is not that great. He's an Auburn fan. So.
True, you're right. He's not, but he'll be rooting for Alabama. So there.
Smart guy.
Anyway, but all that being said, is Michael Rooker, very intimidating man, and I had to interview him in front of his line of people getting autographs. He did not know he was getting interviewed, which adds to the pressure. And it was my first in-person interview ever of my life. Very intimidating, but he ended up being, he started off very cold, and I fell into the trap of asking questions that would result in one word yes or no answers, which is a mistake, but you make that mistake when you're nervous. And then he kind of loosened up, and he actually ended up being very nice. And to this day remembered me, apparently, I guess, I'm told, when somebody else ran into him at San Diego Comic-Con. But anyway, maybe it was because it was such a horrible interview. I don't know. Maybe you don't want to be remembered for it. But all that to say, I didn't say one word to Suzuki, and I was more afraid of that man. I didn't have to even go up to him. Like, I was there for my own entertainment, and I was afraid of that man. Is my point. I guess that's not my style of match. I enjoyed the brutalness, I guess, of it, if that's a word.
It is now.
I love the Gotch finisher, and the story told there of him trying to hit it every time to finish it, instead of going for maybe like a more... an easier move to hit him with, because he kept, turning it on him. So I like the story that was told there. It wasn't my favorite match of the night, but it was still enjoyable. And I'll wait till we're done talking about the whole card as a whole, as far as my ranking on it. But yeah, it was not a bad match. It was a good match. It was definitely better than the match that preceded it, and something needed to happen. Because that last match before it was not good. Not great, I should say. All right, want to move on?
Yes.
Sounds great.
This is my second favorite match of the night. The
Okay.
4-way match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match. Will Ospreay, Marty Scurll, Hiromu Takahashi, and Kushida all facing off. Marty Scurll being the current champion. You figured there'd be spots and lots of high spots and lots of super kicks and all that good stuff. Man, I just had a blast with this match. I really wanted Takahashi to win. My picks were Takahashi or Scurll to win. Didn't happen, and I was finally actually okay with the result, because it was still a story being told. Will Ospreay ended up winning the title from Marty, and that's like his first victory over Marty Scurll in his life. And those two have a storied rivalry going back to Europe, where Ospreay could just never beat Marty.
That's right.
So that was a good story. Of course, Ospreay, with all of his shenanigans and high-flyingness and jumping off a post in the middle of the crowd, was a nice little spot that he pretty much landed on his feet with, which was kind of crazy. He did take too long to do it, I think, which kind of felt less Jeff Hardy and more, I want to be Jeff Hardy. You know what I mean? But I would have been afraid too, so I can't say I can't say nothing about that. I would have been a little gun shy, but I saw more in Will Ospreay in this match than I had before. As far as, I think when he makes the jump to heavyweight, which I think is coming, he'll be able to do more stuff without flying than I thought he previously could. because his game is all about fast and jumping and flipping and acrobatics and high spots. But I think, being as young as he is, he's learned a lot to be able to do less of that when he needs to make that transition to extend his career. Because he can't keep doing this forever. But I enjoyed it quite a bit. What'd you guys think, Monroe?
Yeah, I didn't care for this match.
I figured. I figured.
I'd rather have a match. They can do their spots. They can do whatever. They're junior heavyweights. Mm-hmm. More so like cruiserweights, if you will. So
there was a lot of sunset flips in this match. Like a lot of sunset flips.
Yeah, there were off the ring apron. It's insane.
Which is scary.
Yeah, that is. To the floor. Oh my god!
I want to say Jericho or Foley. I think it was Foley said that's his like scariest thing was ever doing sunset flips.
I get scared now for sure after that Seth Rollins injury. It's like
I know.
But yeah, I didn't care much for this one because like I said, I really wanted a wrestling match. I felt it was a little overbooked, and I'm sorry, I don't care for Marty Scurll, and this match just confirmed that for me.
What about that entrance though?
I mean, I like the wings, sure. That was really, really cool. But yeah, he just doesn't do it for me at all.
Okay, that's fair. I've only had one match where I've been really impressed with Marty. So, and I asked for it and I got it. So I can't really rib on the guy anymore, unless he has a really bad match,
Yeah. I felt like the match would have been way better, honestly, if he wasn't in it. It was like that for me.
Okay. Well, you're a big Takahashi fan, and I think you like Kushida too.
Yeah, I do. I really wanted Takahashi to win this, just like you said, but it's a little disappointing that Ospreay got it. I'm not a huge Ospreay fan either.
Yeah.
But
I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. I think Takahashi looked good in this match. Came out strong. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think you're wrong. I think.
Okay.
I mean, you said tell you.
Yeah. No.
Out of everybody in this match, honestly, Takahashi was the one that for some reason felt held back or held down. Literally, he was taped to the thing.
Yeah, right, for a long time.
I didn't care for that at all. I felt like everybody had a spot or had a time to showcase.
Well,
Takahashi, I didn't like that.
Takahashi did most of the sunset flips. Like, he did like 4 of them in a row, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, towards the end of the match.
Right.
When he got his showcase, if you will. And I feel like he's so talented that he really should have gotten more.
Right.
That was a little disappointing.
I can agree. Yeah, I think the taping thing, for whatever reason, whenever that happens to a guy, I feel like that's to show we need to stop this guy because he's too strong. I fall into the Mark thing of, they got to take him out of this match. Like, when they put Brock Lesnar through the announce table and throw things on top of him, like, okay, he's out of the way now. You know, kind of like that. And I took it as that during that particular match with him, even though I don't think any of those guys see him that way in that match. I don't know if most fans do, but I do. I love the guy. I'm a mark for that guy. What do you think, John?
I thought it was a very good match. Like what Monroe said, this was a fatal 4-way, and Marty got his time to shine, Kushida got his time to shine, Ospreay got his time to shine, and I feel like Takahashi had a couple minutes there where he was on fire and the crowd was on fire with him. Yeah. But that was all that he got, and so as a fan of his, that was not enough for me. Okay. So I feel like that booking let me down. And I mean, if Takahashi had more to do in the match, I probably would have liked this a whole lot more. But it's the fact that it kind of felt a little uneven to me. Okay.
Sure.
I will say that the Ospreay winning by beating Scurll finally, I like the story there, the continuity, it's great. And I'm fine with Ospreay being champion. I think he's a good face going forward for the division. I see bigger things for Takahashi. I don't think that the junior division, he's got so much charisma. I don't know if Ospreay has that, and Takahashi. I think he almost transcends the division. He's a much bigger star.
Yeah, and he started the year as the junior champion, so
that's right.
I'm okay with him not starting this year again. I want him to progress.
Yes, and I think he will get back to that position at some point. and I'm willing to, like, you're going to get Ospreay and Takahashi singles match at New Beginning. Now, me personally, I mean, if I'm going to play fantasy booker, like, I'd love to see that match at Wrestle Kingdom because I'm a singles match guy, and I think that it probably would have been better in this setting, but this match was not terrible, and there was continuity to the booking, so I appreciate that. And Marty Scurll's entrance was awesome. I loved it. I didn't get my giant inflatable Daryl though.
No,
a little upset about that, but it's okay.
He did have a mask on. He did have a mask, and he sat ringside. There wasn't a lot of Daryl, but that's okay. All right, let's move on. Let's kind of cruise along so that we can get Tom involved here. He's busy saving cats behind fridges, apparently.
Fat cat, by the way.
The IWGP Intercontinental Championship match, Hiroshi Tanahashi, the ace, up against Switchblade Jay White. I gotta say, I love the Jay White look. I like his new look, the Switchblade thing, and his mannerisms, and the gear he wears, and his attitude. Like, it's working. It's a good character for him. But yeah, the match itself. Go ahead, John.
Well, it felt going in like Jay White was not built properly for this big of a stage.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you're talking about a really high card match.
Yeah, and against like one of the faces of the company. So, and I guess I would have liked to have seen Jay White win this and kind of solidify him as, a big time player in New Japan, but. Mm-hmm. I guess there's nothing you can do about that now. I don't know if he really feels like a star coming out of that match. What happened at Dash? He feels like a star, but we'll get into that later. But the championship match against Tanahashi, I didn't feel like Tanahashi was the right opponent. I felt like he was a little too slow for him, and working the leg and everything, it all made sense. But I don't know if it really was a good enough showcase for White. I feel like he needed that showcase match, and he didn't get it. He wrestled more of like your typical New Japan main event. So it was a great match, but it wasn't what was needed in that situation for Jay White. So it didn't do him many favors, but we'll see where they go with the character, because like you said, I think he's really growing into it quickly, and I think he's got a very, very bright future. So,
yeah, what'd you think, Monroe?
Well, first, Jay White is so damn cute. Oh my god. Anyway, but no, yeah, I think he tried with the somewhat injured Tanahashi, and Tanahashi isn't as fast as he used to be. Don't get me wrong, he's still amazing, but he's not as quick as Jay White may be, and he kind of had to slow down for him. And to me, the match fell flat because of that. I liked the match. I thought the match was very good, but it could have been way better if he had a different opponent, I believe. But I do like the character. Jay White looks amazing. Like I said, he's so damn cute. I loved his gear. His tights look amazing. I love that so much. I wish he had red in his hair so it would match it, but that's just nitpicking. But anyway, and speaking of hair, hello, can we talk about the star of the show? And that's Tanahashi's hair. This man just cut his hair earlier this 2017, right? And it was a big deal that he cut his hair. And look at it now. Are you kidding me? Unbelievable. His hair is unbelievable. MVP for sure. But anyway, but no, I really, really enjoyed that match. I thought it was very good. I am jealous of Tanahashi's hair. Not gonna lie.
All right.
What do you think, Dave?
I was, again, I like both these guys. I'm not a huge Tanahashi fan. I understand his legacy, though. He's kind of like, I heard Don Callis refer to him as like the Hulk Hogan, or he used other names too, but like women cry when they see him. Like,
yeah, they do.
Yeah, they want to sweat, man.
Yeah. Like he wipes, like they hand him shirts and stuff. He'll wipe his sweat and he'll give it back to them, and they'll just start weeping. But like, I understand his legacy. He's the ace. He's like their one of their like legacy babyface guys. But it was a boring match. I like the story again with the leg, like you talked about, John, and I love the character of Switchblade and Jay White and the attitude and the red and black gear. But I didn't get enough progression of Jay White, I guess. It just felt...
No, I agree.
It felt flat. Yeah. It felt very flat, and it didn't seem like a... It didn't really seem like a stepping stone match that it should have been. Right. If you're going to put him up against this guy who is a legacy in your company, and it just didn't feel... It fell flat, I guess is the best way to put it. It was still a good match, don't get me wrong. It just didn't feel like the right match for that part of the show and for those guys.
Absolutely.
So...
Yep. Totally agree.
All right, let's move on to what everybody wants us to talk about, the double main event. Sorry, I have to laugh when I say it. The IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship match, no DQ, and they took full advantage of that. Kenny Omega, the Omega, against Chris Jericho, the Alpha. I want to start with Monroe this time. What'd you think?
Did you know what Kenny Omega was dressed like when you saw it, Dave?
I figured it was some video game thing. Or, as Don Callis said, some kind of Egyptian god. Like
God, really?
That's what he kept saying.
Don Callis?
Yeah, that's what he was saying. What is it? Is it some kind of Tekken thing?
To me, it looks like something from Stargate.
Stargate. Oh, Stargate. Yeah, that could be.
It looks like one of the Anubis things from Stargate.
They have a heavy Egyptian influence on that show, so yeah.
Yeah. That was my guess, but I mean, it could have been a Destiny thing. It could have been an Overwatch thing. It could have been whatever. He hasn't confirmed it yet. He needs to, Omega.
The world needs to know.
Yeah, I need to know, man. It's important. And unpopular opinion time. Sorry, but this match honestly was. I thought it was very good. It's just not really my kind of match, and I was really hoping they would have more so of a wrestling match. And I knew the no DQ thing was gonna bring it down a little for me. I'm glad it didn't have all the shenanigans and all the interferences they could have had and all this other bullshit. I'm glad none of that happened, but at the same time, it was good. I don't think it was as amazing as most people say. But I will say it may be the second best match on the show. Honestly, though, I think I may have enjoyed Kota Ibushi and Cody more. But still, it was still an amazing match. I mean, I'm not taking anything from it. I'm not taking anything from either guy.
Yeah.
The match was still great. It's just something about it just didn't really click with me for a while there. I did mark out for the entrances though. I'll give you that. When Jericho came out with the jacket, I was done. I mean, really.
The jacket and his song, yeah.
Oh man, that was amazing. Seeing him walk down that long ass ramp, but still, it was just so surreal, you know. That's one of those moments they're gonna be like, hey, where were you when this happened?
Yeah.
But no, but still, like I said, it wasn't my favorite thing on the show, but still, it was a very good match.
Yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of the match because, I don't want to say it was a WWE feel to the match, but it was old school feel.
No, it did, dude. It was like an Attitude Era main event. I don't mean to interject, but it really did feel that way. Yeah. It's a great comparison. And
it's in a good way. As far as the brutality of these guys just hate each other. We knew that going in. That was what this was built on, as the supreme hate of each other. And the intensity of that. But yeah, the going through the table spot would actually hit it. Omega goes through the table, trying to hit a spot on Jericho, and it hits Callis too, which is a nice little swerve, since he's so involved with the booking of this and with the storyline too. I thought that was a nice little touch. I could have done without the chaos of "Can anybody hear us?" and that whole deal with them going off air for a while. The announcers, which is fine because I needed a break from Callis. But they couldn't see, like they had no monitor and everything. It was actually pretty funny. He landed so perfectly on that table, he missed both monitors on like the smallest table they ever could find. Like, he landed so perfectly, he didn't hit either monitor. It was amazing. But like I say, I enjoyed it. I never once thought Jericho was going to win this match, which took a little bit away from it. But at the same time, I just was able to sit back and enjoy the match. And just see what these guys can do. Because it was very much not a Kenny Omega match. It was very different than anything we've seen him do, which is kind of nice because we've seen him change from match to match. Even in his 3 matches with Okada, or 4, or whatever it is at this point. It's kind of been a different story each match, a different style almost. And this one with Jericho is absolutely different. But yeah, I enjoyed it. To me, it was the best match on the card, just to me. But I'll go on the Meltzer thing. I wouldn't give it 5 stars. But what'd you think, John?
Well, okay, so gotta get this out of the way first. Fantasy booking wise, whatever, I would have preferred to see it without the no DQ stipulation. I said that on the preview show. It's kind of the same way I would to see a singles match for the junior title, whatever. Dude, this match was tremendous. From the go, seeing Chris Jericho come down to the ring, I mean, I welled up. I'm not going to lie. That's my favorite wrestler. I was jacked up for this match. Jericho, man, I can't say enough about how great this guy is. I mean, I really did not expect for him to be able to keep up with Kenny Omega in this match. And look, he wasn't tremendously athletic, but for a guy who's 47 years old, Chris Jericho really held up his end of the bargain in this one.
He sure did.
And it wasn't so much so his athleticism, but his ability his character work in this match was off the charts. The spot with Umino, the Red Shoe's son, and the flipping off of the fans while he's holding the camera. All the little things that Jericho did in this match made it so entertaining and so fun. The spots were great. The intensity was off the charts. This match was erratic. It was very Attitude Era main event, and I honestly feel like as a second match to the top, it fit in that position really well, and I'm glad that there was not any interference, and it was actually a lot of wrestling. So this was better, much better than I expected it to be, and easily the second best match on the card. So, and I'm glad Omega won as well. So this really worked, and I again, Chris Jericho. I'm so glad that he's in New Japan right now because we're getting to see how truly great Jericho is, even still today.
Tom, do you have anything to add?
I haven't watched the match, but everything I've read about it, here's my comparison. Everybody says AJ Styles can have a match with a broomstick and make it a great match. I believe Chris Jericho can have a feud, a build-up, and a match with that same broomstick and make it even better. And this is Jericho. Jericho's we all know he's part of my Mount Rushmore because I think he's one of the best that's ever been. I said it on the previous show. He moves with the moment. He knows how to escalate his character, but also at the same time elevating his opponent. Everything I've read, the match was incredible. I don't know. You guys have kind of made it not so much 5-star, but I'm going to go, when we get done recording this, I'm going to go watch the match. But it seems to me pure Jericho at his finest. And pairing him with a guy at the level of Kenny Omega, to me, that should be gold. So
I'm very
excited to watch this match.
Tom, I think when we say it wasn't 5 stars, it wasn't a very... The story was great. It's just not a wrestling match. It is.
I get that. Yeah, and it shouldn't have been the build up. It should have been a fight.
No, but I agree with John when I say I wanted one.
Yes,
whether Jericho can still do that is the question, and that's probably why it went this direction. Because I think for his age, he's still in amazing shape, but I don't think he's on Kenny's level anymore. As far as being able to go 36 minutes in the ring in a wrestling match.
Well, no, I mean, how many in the world are?
Right. That's the point of it.
Right.
As far as not being a wrestling match that we wanted. I think maybe if it had been, like a 15-minute match, that'd be different.
You remember back in the day, Tom, I think it was Rock and Triple H had a ladder match at Royal Rumble for the IC title.
Mm-hmm.
And they brawled all throughout the building and stuff. Man, that is what this match felt a lot like to me. It was something like that. And it's not necessarily like a technical wrestling masterclass, but it was just a barroom brawl. It was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, the start of it was great. Jericho wanting to get it going while the Young Bucks and Omega were kind of milking the entrance, and the Young Bucks kind of taking offense to it. The fact that the Young Bucks were barred from ringside was great. Without having done anything, they just kind of left after they came out with the entrance. They said because it was a no DQ, they didn't want them involved, so they were banned from ringside. Did they come out at the end? I don't remember after the match if they came out to help Omega. I don't think they did.
I don't think so.
I think Omega just left. But yeah, definitely, it's a must-see match. This match itself is important to the business.
Right.
Whether you're a fan of WWE or New Japan or both or neither, it is very important to the business because it shows and it proves crossover is possible and should happen more. It should, I think.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna jump on my soapbox for a second. I think our fandoms and our companies should be less about versus and more about the business, as far as building it, because it should not be a ratings war anymore, and it's not because of the way things are consumed. It's not WWE versus WCW because WCW started that in the wrong way. They may have won for so long, and they did it in a great way because it changed the business. But at the same time, all you did was encourage guys to betray their companies, encourage guys to just follow the money, and it ended up being a watered-down, saturated product with guys with too big of egos controlling the show and the fans suffering for it. What this proves is that you can go above your ego and just prove that while Jericho wanted to do this match because maybe he was bored in WWE, he's wrestled those guys thousands of times and there's no more challenges there. And there's a Kenny Omega out there that he wants to do a match with because, one, it improves his legacy, which we thought couldn't get any bigger. And it did with this match. It helped build New Japan, whether you want to agree or not, because he's a WWE guy.
Yes, absolutely.
They sold almost 10,000 more tickets to that event than the 2 years before. And who knows how many New Japan World subscriptions at this point. But, I mean, whether you're a New Japan fan, a WWE fan, Ring of Honor fan, it doesn't matter. This is going to help everything. And especially if it can continue. And guys like Vince McMahon and guys like whoever's running things in New Japan, I don't know his name, continue to allow these. His name. Continue to allow these things to happen and encourage it because Vince, according to Jericho, encouraged it when he went to Vince and asked him about it or told him what he wants to do. Because Vince sees, as should everybody, that this is not only good for New Japan, not only good for Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, but good for WWE for when Jericho comes back to WWE. It's not a question of if, it's when. He'll be back. And when he comes back, it'll be even bigger.
I mean, you could even say that on the same note of now people will probably, this will whet their appetite of when is Kenny Omega going to come to WWE? Now the fans that are casual that just know Jericho from this are going to say, oh man, that was a great match. So when is he going to come over here and face somebody like John Cena or Roman Reigns or I put him against this guy? But you're right, and the cross branding needs to happen, and it actually opens the door to wrestling fans who have just been blinded with the blinders by one specific product. It happened in WCW. WCW, their ego is what got them. But I got WWE. I got TNA. I got no. Watch it all. Take it all in. It's magical. And Chris Jericho to me, I equate him to back when Terry Funk main evented ECW. I can get that guy over. Now you have Chris Jericho being that guy who we saw in WWE can get that guy over, can cross the ocean to get an already over Kenny Omega over even more.
Mm-hmm.
So
right now, you think
beautiful.
You just think about the next guy that Jericho faces, whether it's in WWE
Right.
or New Japan. Think of the rub that gives him.
Oh,
Right.
it's fantastic.
Right. All right. Let's move on. Let me jump off my soapbox.
One thing I do want to add. I hate to extend this out any longer because I've already been long-winded. But one thing I really did appreciate about this match and the four-way, this show felt like it had great variety to it. It wasn't your typical New Japan card that has singles match, singles match, singles match. There was a lot of fun stuff in here that kept you entertained the entire way through. It wasn't like there wasn't a whole bunch of like 5-star this, 5-star that, but it was very entertaining.
Right. I'll say
something for everybody, and it was a 6-hour long show, but it felt like it was only 2 hours.
Right. It felt very short.
I'll say other New Japan shows I've watched, I'm like, well, this is the third match in a row where they have this moment where they're both on their knees throwing elbows. Like this is the third time in a row that this has happened, and that didn't happen this time around. There was a lot of variety, a lot of changing up things, and I liked that. I kind of don't like when they get into that exhausted mode where they're both on their knees facing each other, going blow for blow, 3 matches in a row. And I know that's the style, and I know that's the way they do things. But for me, that got old pretty quickly. And I don't remember which show that was. That was like Genesis or something. But anyway, yeah, let's move on. The other main event. Tetsuya Naito taking on Kazuchika Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. I'm going to let Monroe start.
Well, this is the only main event, in my opinion. And this is the match I was looking forward to more than any other match.
Mm-hmm.
I get the whole dream match scenario. I get all of that stuff, and all that's great. But this is the match that I was looking forward to. I am a huge Naito fan. I think bigger than most people realize, bigger than I even realize, actually. And I really wanted this to be his night. Like this was everything right here. And I could not wait for this match, and boy did it deliver. I'm sorry, but this to me was without a doubt the best match on the show. This is probably one of the best matches I've ever seen. It was very, very incredible. The story they were telling, the what do you call it, the unstoppable force versus the immovable object? I mean, this was that for sure. Naito giving everything, leaving everything out there, wanting to win this title. Okada being so good and seemingly unstoppable and impossible to beat. Man, what a story that was, and what a match it was. I will say that I was very disappointed that Naito didn't win. Sorry, spoilers, whatever. I really, really thought that this was his moment, especially with the story they've been building so far. Don't get me wrong, I get it. Okada is incredible, probably the best in the world right now. Well, not probably, really without doubt. And like I said, I totally get it, but I really, really, as a fan, wanted to see Naito get his crowning moment here in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom. But with all that aside, still the match was absolutely incredible. Without a doubt, the best match of the night, and definitely my favorite. So.
All right, John?
I'm going to defer to you, Dave, because I'm really interested in what you thought of this before I give my take.
I'll be honest, I need to go back and watch it again just because I was distracted while watching it. Okay. So I didn't give my full attention to it. I enjoyed, like, the first half of it, I was fully into it, and then I got distracted by certain things. Okay. It was a long match. It was 36 minutes. So,
absolutely.
But I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite match of the night, and I would have preferred Naito to win. But again, 4 stars type match, in my opinion, very enjoyable, very entertaining, and very, very good storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
So this match undoubtedly had the longest build. This has been years in the making, this match. So if you really dig deep and learn about Naito's career and the growth and the changes that he's had to go through to get to that moment, and the reign that Kazuchika Okada has put together over the past year leading up, there was a lot of things that led to this match, and it's what created this environment for me that makes this match one of the best matches that I've ever seen. I sat 7 rows back from Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. I saw Shibata and Okada. Shibata was the reason I started watching New Japan in the first place. That match was up there for me. And this match is in that same tier. Those 3 matches to me are the perfect examples of long-term storytelling with incredible professional wrestling, all coming together to create this masterpiece. And I can't, obviously I would have loved to see Naito win this match, but when you have Kazuchika Okada and Tetsuya Naito, it's really hard to go wrong either way. And traditionally in New Japan at Wrestle Kingdom, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship does not change hands. Kazuchika Okada is the new ace, the new face of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I understand that there are those out there who would have liked to see Naito win. I'm one of them, but I also understand the business side of this, and I also understand that, I've been talking about all this long-term storytelling. This is not the end of the story for Naito and Okada. These are 2 guys who have had a long history, and their history is only going to continue to grow. This story is only going to continue to get more deep, and I can't wait to see what twists and turns we go to next. Naito at the end of the match got a little carried away. He lost his tranquilo, and that maybe was his character flaw. And so it's going to be interesting to see what he does kind of to change, and maybe when he gets his next shot, maybe he can take the belts off of Okada. We'll see. Okada has this aura about him now where it's who can stop Okada. He looks pretty much unbeatable. And so for me, this was near perfection and 5 stars, whatever you want to call it. This was my favorite match on the card and one of my favorite main events in a very, very long time. So thoroughly enjoyed it.
All right, very cool. I don't think that feud is over by any means. Even though they're building to something else, but
I saw a lot of people who were overreacting about Naito's loss, and
sure.
I think that that's selling everything short a little bit. I mean, I'm not going to disagree. I felt like Naito should have won the title there, but does it? Look, Naito came out the night after at Dash, which we're going to get into, and the crowd was just as hot, and there might have been even more merch for him there. Mm-hmm. And the crowd was almost turning on Okada, so who knows? Maybe this is going to lead to an Okada heel turn. I don't know, but that's the beauty of New Japan, is that you have to continue following, and you have to pay attention to where this is all going, because it is going somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the right call at that point for Okada to keep it, and I think that when Naito does finally get it, it'll be a huge moment. And I don't think Naito lost anything by losing that match. So
it just sucks as a fan.
Sure,
when you're a fan,
right.
You want to see
right.
your favorite win.
But
absolutely.
Of
course, in any other way, with storytelling, booking, it all makes sense the way it went. Sure.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But as a fan, I'm a fan of Naito, a huge fan of Naito, and I want my guy to win, and he didn't, and that sucks.
She had a great comparison while we were watching this. She compared Tetsuya Naito to a young Eddie Guerrero. I couldn't agree more. He's outstanding, and let me tell you something. He just main evented the Tokyo Dome, and this was his first time doing so. And it was one of the biggest drawing shows that New Japan's ever had. So trust me, he's got a very bright future with this company. I mean, it's written it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. All right. So very quickly, your letter grade for Wrestle Kingdom 12. What did you think, Monroe?
Oh man. I'm gonna go A-. I mean, even the worst scenes on the show were still not terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And that even goes for LIJ and KES. I mean, there are some people who are all in for KES. I'm just not a fan, but I mean, I don't take much away from those guys. And then you have Evil and Sonata, who are awesome, I think. So,
sure.
Yeah, even their worst are better than a lot of other things right now. So this show was awesome all the way through. A- for me.
All right, John?
This show could have easily been an A+, but I think that there were a few things in there that kind of cooled it off a little bit, so it's just got to be an A. But I think it's an A mainly because of its consistency. Rarely do you find an event that goes this long that has had consistently good wrestling, consistently entertaining wrestling, and I think that you gotta pat New Japan on the back for that because, I mean, there's a lot of long wrestling shows out there today that, man, they can lull you sometimes, and I didn't find that with this at all. So,
oh, sorry if you just heard me kind of gag. I had a pill get stuck in my throat. Oh. Sorry, everybody. I couldn't get to the mute button fast enough. All right.
Please don't die. Please don't die.
Yeah, I go A minus, B plus area. I was, there was the KES match which I didn't enjoy, but 99% of the time I was entertained. So I can't go less than an A. I don't think, an A range grade. So, yeah. Yeah. So, all right, we need to move on a little quicker here. We're running into almost a 2-hour show. So New Year Dash happened. Let's just hit up the highlights, and I'll let John take over. The highlights. Well, I do want to say one thing. We were talking about it before the show started. So Switchblade at Wrestle Kingdom to me has a great look, and I thought to myself in my own head, he would be great in the Bullet Club, but I don't want to see it. I thought he'd make a great Bullet Club member. He's got a great look, but I want there to be one guy who goes up against the Bullet Club, and doesn't join a chaos or doesn't join a group. I'm sure Switchblade will eventually end up in a group, or maybe he won't. But at the same time, I thought it would be great for a guy to just take him on, and from there, I'll let John take over for the highlights of the New Japan New Year Dash.
Right, so most of the wrestling on this card was, for the most part, I don't want to say forgettable, but it was just kind of there. It just kind of existed. The highlights of this show, first, the most notable thing, in my opinion, is Katsuya Kitamura is getting his 7-match trial series, and basically what they do with these is the young lion that's going to, or has graduated from their system, gets 7 matches with main roster members, and then you pretty much lose them all, and you go to wherever your excursion is going to be. So this is like Kitamura's send-off. He's going to get 7 singles matches. Started with Jay White, which was actually a very good match. I don't want to say it was nothing like Wrestle Kingdom or anything, but it was a solid match for a rookie. And I like the prospect of...
I'm going to start calling that guy the Katsuya, the Japanese vampire Kitamura.
Yeah.
Or Japanese Goldberg. Either one works.
Yeah, he's got that build. I love the teeth, the mouth guard thing.
It's very cool. Yeah, it's very cool. I'm really excited about the prospect of him maybe facing Suzuki, or even Naito. There's so many matchups that would be great for Kitamura. Mm-hmm. So that's one notable thing about the undercard. I guess the first big angle, because New Year's Dash is kind of like the Raw after WrestleMania, where a lot of these stories are developed. Mm. And the first thing that happened was we had a match with the Bullet Club led by Cody, with Yujiro, Marty Scurll, Leo Tonga, and Chase Owens taking on Kota Ibushi, Juice, and a bunch of Taguchi Japan.
Brandy was there.
Folks. And Brandy was there, and she actually got on the mic, and she was very good. She was on commentary.
Oh, yeah.
Chase. Man.
Yeah, Chase Owens. Most importantly, what ended up happening was Bullet Club ended up defeating Taguchi Japan, and after the match, a couple of the Bullet Club guys got Ibushi, and Cody was frustrated about his loss the night before, took a chair and was getting ready to attack Ibushi when his best friend, I guess, Kenny Omega, runs in, and all right, I'll just say it, his former lover runs into the ring and makes the save, and it was the loudest pop I may have ever heard at Korakuen Hall. It was awesome. He pushed Cody through the chair, got in his face, and Ibushi was able to get out unscathed.
Before we move any further, did any of you feel like this was a send-off for Kenny?
A send-off?
This is the show where they say goodbye to Kenny. This is
absolutely
where they kick him out of the Bullet Club.
No, I feel like that's coming, though.
Okay.
Yeah,
because that's what happened to AJ, and that's what happened.
So what ended up happening was Omega got on the microphone after he got in Cody's face, and basically, he was pointing at Cody before he got on the mic and said, "I'm the leader." Mm-hmm. Cody said, "No, I'm the leader." So you can tell there's a rift. Omega got on the microphone and said, "You know what? Need to stop the fighting. We need to be number one again." He said he knows what Bullet Club needs, and he called out Switchblade. And that was interesting because, like you said, you felt like Switchblade belonged in Bullet Club, or like he would fit in Bullet Club, but you didn't want to see that.
Mm-hmm.
So out comes Jay White. Jay White, he hands Jay White a Bullet Club shirt. Jay White puts on the Bullet Club shirt.
As he would, it's a free one.
What's that?
As he would, it's free, and they sell out at Hot Topic.
That's right, man. That's a yeah. We should sell that.
They ain't cheap.
So, it looks like Jay White has joined the Bullet Club. They hug, and then Jay White does the cutthroat taunt and puts him in the Blade Runner, hits him, and lays him out. It was awesome.
Throws with some authority, throws that shirt from the entrance all the way back to the ring. That was like a rocket. I'm like, God, that shirt flew.
He's got a cannon of an arm. He could be a quarterback in the NFL. Go play for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, there you go, Tom. Switchblade at quarterback.
With the first pick of the NFL draft, the Cleveland Browns select Jay White.
So some guy named Switchblade,
quarterback.
And they announced they're changing their uniforms to black and red.
So honestly, man, I was a little unsure of Jay White's direction before all of this. I am really excited. I think Kenny Omega is the perfect opponent. I think that Switchblade being the lone wolf is the perfect wedge that drives into the Bullet Club and kind of separates it. This is where Kenny and the Bucks kind of go off and do their own thing, and I can't wait for that because I think this is long overdue. So that was the first major development.
It was interesting because Marty left with Cody immediately.
Yep.
Like those two were gone. Yujiro and Chase, I think, were the other ones that came back for Kenny after he got hit with the Blade Runner. Maybe it was just Yujiro. Nobody really came out to help Kenny after. And Kenny sold the crap out of that Blade Runner. Like, he was just out.
Oh, he was awesome, dude. Yeah.
He was out.
He's going to put Jay White over. I think Jay White might even win that title.
Oh,
and that might lead to some questioning.
And do you think that's the Cody Omega thing is what happens at the U.S. tour?
Yes. Yeah, and I think that because what it's going to be is Omega's going to get his first big loss, and Cody's going to say, "So you really think you're that great? Why don't we have a match and prove who the leader is?"
Right,
something like that.
Okay.
And I would be all for it. By the way, I think that would be great.
Sure.
But I think it goes back to what we talked about with Jericho. Omega knows who he is. Jay White is an up and coming, very bright star, and all right. Let me make this guy and go into this feud, into this angle. That's beautiful. It writes itself. Yep. That is how wrestling should be.
Jay White, blue chip recruit for quarterback too.
Yeah.
And Omega knows it.
So I like that a lot because it set up short term and long term at the same time.
2 different matches, 2 different feuds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right. Another angle that they ran was after the Team Tanahashi versus Team Suzuki. We finally got to see Minoru Suzuki bald, and boy, if you thought he looked evil before, man, he looks he's
scarier. How did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, he looks just like pure evil with a bald.
By the power of Grayskull.
My goodness. So after the match, Suzuki just beat the crap out of Tanahashi and must have hit his knee about 10 times with a chair. Lifted up the IC title and basically said, I'm coming for the title. So looks like we're going to be getting a Suzuki and Tanahashi program, which is really cool because it's not really something that they're going to mention or make a huge point out of. But if you think about it, Suzuki coming off losing his hair is facing a guy who's kind of always had the best hair. I don't know. I just think that little element of it is kind of cool.
Now, he originally lost that title to him, right? When he was kicking the title around and all that. That was him, right? Or was that Naito? No, it was Naito. I'm sorry.
That was Naito.
That was Naito. Yeah, my bad.
But Suzuki and Tanahashi did have a feud way, way back. This must have been like 2012. So they do have some history there. And, the matches have been really, really good. So we're going to I think it's a little bit, further down the line. They're not as young as they were. And I don't know if they're going to be able to go as well. But the storytelling should be pretty damn good. And then I guess a lot of stuff happened at the end of this show. We got a couple setups for matches in the near future. It looks like it's going to be Okada versus Sonata for the heavyweight title, which is whatever because it's just a throwaway defense for Okada. And then we're going to get.
Can I ask something? You said who? Yeah. Who in Okada?
Sonata.
Did it feel like it felt like to me that Sonata really went into business for himself during that attack with Okada. Like it didn't feel like it was the right spot. Like
what do you mean?
It felt like Sonata forced himself to attack Okada, like really a lot at the end of that attack. Like
yeah, I don't know.
It felt very weird. I don't know. Maybe that's just because of his demeanor all the time, Sonata's.
Yeah, he doesn't care. Zero, man.
Right.
He does not give a.
It doesn't. It does not feel right for him to be feuding with Okada to me. And two, it felt like he's like, I'm going to make this happen. Like, I don't know. I know it was likely planned.
No, I agree. It is a little bit thrown together. I think the matchup will be solid, but
yeah, don't get me wrong. He's a talented guy. It just doesn't feel right. But yeah, please go ahead.
I agree. It doesn't feel right. The matchup I'm more excited for is definitely Takahashi versus Ospreay. It looks like we're going to be getting that one. We could also be getting Evil versus Goto, which is one I hadn't thought about, but that would be an awesome match.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
So Naito led LIJ to defeat Chaos in the main event, which is where all of this stuff happened. And so post-match, LIJ is together in the ring. Naito cuts his usual promo. And afterwards, LIJ departs. Naito is in the ring alone. And who else but Chris Jericho arrives and just lays out Naito.
My favorite part was it looked like it was a struggle for him to get into the ring at first.
Yeah, it did for a minute, for sure. I can't tell you how happy I am that Chris Jericho's in New Japan. There's so much anticipation every time you see him. I'm happy that he's, whoever was worried about Naito coming out of Wrestle Kingdom, I think you can see that this company really does value him because they could have easily given anybody else this rub, but they're choosing Naito, which to me says they want Naito to be a huge star, not only in Japan, but also in the United States. I think Naito's going to be a huge crossover star.
I love when he laid in the ring after it was all. He just laid there, just looking at him like, "Hey, what's up? What's up? Yep. All right, come on. All right, you good? All right, I'm just layer. I'm good."
It could have gone a couple ways, especially with Naito maybe feeling the kind of slighted with this double billing. Now you bring in Jericho for this thing, and it kind of takes over the event. This Omega Jericho build. And Naito,
which is the same thing that happened to him at Wrestle Kingdom a few years ago.
When he got the match taken away from him.
That's right. They had a fan vote. So, this has kind of been the story of Naito's career. Like, there's always someone coming in to try and steal his spotlight, and Naito always gets his revenge.
Yeah, so that it's good that this, whenever it happens, I don't know if it's going to happen right away or what they're going to do. I think it's probably going to be a slower build.
Yeah, it'll probably take place in America. I think that this will be the main event of the Strong Style Evolved show in Long Beach. Mm-hmm. But I love that angle. I love when Naito was going to throw the chair at Jericho, but instead he pulled it down and just sat in it and was like, all right, I'm just going to chill out. And you saw Jericho with this little smirk. It's just the little things that have made this Jericho run so magical. His mannerisms, his promos, everything. He's just, he's in a league of his own. So,
he really is.
Yeah, this was an awesome follow-up to Wrestle Kingdom. I can't wait for the New Beginning shows and Strong Style Evolved. It's going to be a fun year to be a fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling.
All right. I think that's good enough for this show. We're at an hour 45, so we're going to wrap up here. Please let us know your thoughts on Wrestle Kingdom and New Year Dash. Let us know what you think, where you think things are going, your prediction for the year for New Japan, and your prediction for the year just overall. Next week we'll talk about the NXT awards, and we'll get into that. And at the end of the month we'll do our year-end award show, where we'll pretty much do the mid-year awards again, but now we'll have more matches to choose from. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Facebook,
something,
and Instagram. Yeah, I just created a new social media outlet.
Facegram.
Everything's at Ringside Geeks. Subscribe on YouTube, all that good stuff. And yeah, Tom, you are on the Twitter machine.
I am on the Twitter machine at skiz_world.
John, you're on Twitter and Instagram.
At xjohnneve.
And Monroe, Twitter.
That is EFDS_ENT.
And your YouTube.
Rinky Dinky YouTube page is Eye of the Storm Entertainment.
One of those
Rinky Dinky.
with those 2018 updates coming soon.
Coming very soon, so
nice.
subscribe now.
We need to get on board with this Rinky Dinky because they got the Dilly Dilly. We got the Rinky Dinky. How about that?
I hate Dilly Dilly. I hate the Dilly Dilly thing. The Dilly Dilly thing is a lot like the what's up. Like it reminds me of that. I hate it.
Oh, I hate it too, man. Me too.
All right, that's our show this week. We hope you were entertained because we had fun talking about all this awesome wrestling content that is available to you for a low price of under $10.
I got a lot to watch.
You're gonna enjoy it though.
All I can say to those
that
that haven't
know what you think, Tom.
Yeah, to those that haven't watched it and will watch it, drink it in, man. Drink it in.
Seek this stuff out. It's good.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend with whatever wrestling you watch. Enjoy it. Take as much satisfaction as you can out of it. And have a good time. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.